The morning sun draped Barkington Park in a golden glow, the kind of light that should have inspired calm, gentle strolls and Instagram-worthy picnic photos. But peace? Oh no. Peace was about to be brutally assassinated in broad daylight. Goldie Karen's heels clicked against the paved path. As she made her grand entrance, even though, yes, she was at a dog park, latte in her right hand, designer leash in her left, she looked less like a dog owner and more like a queen inspecting her royal grounds. At the other end of the leash, her golden retriever, Sir Wiggles, trotted with the confident sway of someone who knew he was devastatingly handsome. His fur gleamed in the sunlight like spun gold, earning him double takes from joggers and envious sighs from other dog owners. And then she appeared. Linda, the self-proclaimed dog park diva, clad in coordinated yoga pants and a neon sports jacket that practically glowed. Linda wore oversized sunglasses, the size of small dinner plates, and a smile, so smug it could sour sweet tea. She had 3 pristine poodles on rhinestone leashes, each one walking like they had attended finishing school in Paris. Karen, Linda purred, tilting her head ever so slightly. Still letting your dog wear that collar? Goldie froze mid-sip, latte halfway to her lips. Her deep blue eyes narrowed with slow, deliberate precision. This collar, she said with a dramatic pause worthy of a courtroom reveal, is imported from Milan. Milan? Linda, not from your discount Isle of Despair. Several dog owners went silent. One man with a dachshund actually stopped mid-throw of a frisbee. Even a squirrel froze on a tree branch, watching like this was the best thing on television. Linda's glossy lips curved into a knowing smirk. Well, some of us care about safety over style. Goldie's voice dropped to a silky purr. And some of us, she countered, stepping forward so her shadow fell across Linda's sneakers, care about not dressing our dogs like they're entering witness protection. Sir Wiggles gave a perfectly timed bark, sharp, dignified, and dripping with approval of his owner's sass. The air thickened. It wasn't just a disagreement now. It was the passive-aggressive showdown, an unwritten dog park tradition, where smiles were weapons and small talk was laced with venom. Goldie adjusted her sunglasses, her lips curving into a slow, confident smile. Game on, Linda. Linda's poodles stood taller, as if they too understood the stakes. Somewhere in the distance, a child dropped their juice box in slow motion. This wasn't just a casual morning at Barkington Park anymore. This was va. Goldie Karen stood with one hand on her hip, the other delicately balancing her latte like a trophy. Her stance radiated confidence, the kind of confidence that said, yes, I wore white sneakers to a dog park, and no, they will not get dirty. Sir Wiggles sat at her side, his golden fur practically glowing, tail swishing in slow, calculated rhythm. Across the park, Linda adjusted the grip on her rhinestone leashes. Her 3 identical poodles, Priscilla, Petunia, and Penelope, stood poised like synchronized statues, each with a tiny bow that matched Linda's neon jacket. It was clear she hadn't come here for casual fetch. No, this was the opening act of a turf war. Shall we test their skills? Linda said, her voice dripping with mock sweetness. Goldie arched a perfectly groomed brow. Oh, Linda, I thought you'd never ask. Linda produced a brand new neon tennis ball from her tote, the kind that probably cost more than a dinner entree. She gave it a practice toss, high, graceful, landing perfectly on the grass. Her poodles broke formation, trotting toward it with a dignified air. They made it halfway, then stopped. One sat down to scratch an ear. Another wandered toward a butterfly. The third simply laid down as if pondering the meaning of life. Goldie gave a slow blink. Fascinating. Are they conserving energy? Or is this the canine equivalent of a coffee break? Linda forced a laugh. They're pacing themselves. It's called strategy, Karen. Goldie tilted her head. Sure, and I'm conserving my patience. She bent down, patted Sir Wiggles's head, and whispered, fetch like you mean it, darling. Then, with a casual flick, she tossed her own tennis ball. Wiggles exploded into motion, legs pumping, ears flapping in majestic slow motion. He snatched the ball mid-bounce, then, because drama ran in the family, spotted an old, half-buried ball under a nearby bench and retrieved that too. The crowd, because yes, there was now a crowd, burst into applause. Goldie straightened, raising her latte in a mock toast to the spectators. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 balls. 1 throw, excellence. Linda's sunglasses slipped just enough to reveal the fire in her eyes. She yanked her poodle's leashes gently, trying to regroup. It's not over, Karen. Oh, Linda, Goldie replied with a soft chuckle. With you, it's never over. But darling, be careful. You're starting to sweat. A man in a baseball cap muttered. I've seen fewer claws at a cat show. Someone else whispered. Round 1 goes to Karen. The tension was electric now. The crowd was hooked. And Goldie? She was just getting warmed up. The crowd around the dog park had grown into a full-blown audience now. Folding chairs mysteriously appeared. Lattes were being sipped in unison, and someone even set their phone to record for posterity. Linda, clearly rattled by the fetch humiliation, reached into her gleaming designer tote. The movement was slow, deliberate, like a magician preparing for her big reveal. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced. Yes, announced. "These are artisanal dog biscuits, handmade in Vermont, by a chef who also caters for celebrities. Organic, grain-free, infused with lavender and a hint of rosemary for relaxation." She presented one like it was the crown jewel of canine cuisine, then crouched to offer it to Sir Wiggles. Wiggles sniffed, tilted his head, gave the biscuit a gentle nudge with his nose, and walked away. A gasp rolled through the onlookers like a wave. Goldie, suppressing a smirk, crouched and pulled out her own container. A plain, humble Tupperware with a pink lid. "These," she said, "are homemade, by me, in silk pajamas, while listening to jazz." She popped the lid, releasing the smell of peanut butter and something slightly cinnamony. Before Goldie could even offer them to Wiggles, Linda's 3 poodles broke rank. Their leashes tangled as they charged toward the Tupperware, tails wagging like propellers. They swarmed Goldie's feet, politely yipping and pawing until she gave them each a treat. The crowd roared with laughter. One woman fanned herself with a park brochure and whispered, "Oh, Linda, they've defected." Linda's cheeks flushed beneath her sunglasses. "They're just curious," she stammered, tugging gently on the poodle's leashes. Goldie straightened, holding the Tupperware high like a golden chalice. "Curious? Oh, Linda, no. This is loyalty, and perhaps a little peanut butter bribery." Wiggles finally trotted back over, delicately accepting a treat from her, hand as if sealing the victory. With a ceremonial bite, the old man with the dachshund muttered, "That's a clean win," to no one in particular. Linda pressed her lips together, a forced smile stretching across her face. "You think this is over? We haven't even had the leash parade yet." Goldie tilted her head, blue eyes glimmering. "Then by all means, darling, let's parade." She handed the Tupperware to a bystander like a queen passing off a crown jewel, then brushed a non-existent speck from her jacket. Somewhere behind them, a small dog barked as if signaling the next round. The park fell into a hush. Everyone knew the parade wasn't just tradition. It was the catwalk of canine supremacy. Linda's poodles stood ready. Wiggles adjusted his stance. And Goldie Karen? She smiled like someone who already knew how the story would end. The leash parade wasn't an official event, but at Barkington Park it was legend. Every Saturday, the dog owners did a slow lap around the fountain to show off their pets. It wasn't about exercise, it was about spectacle. And today, the spectacle was about to turn into a battlefield. Linda stood at the far end of the fountain. Poodles neatly lined up like fluffy soldiers. Their bows were freshly adjusted, their fur shimmering from a morning blow-dry. She gave them a quick once-over, nodding in approval. Goldie Karen, however, took her time. She knelt beside Sir Wiggles, straightened his silk bandana, and whispered something in his ear. Whatever it was made him puff his chest and wag, his tail with the confidence of a pageant winner who already knew the crown was his. The crowd gathered along the path, whispering like paparazzi before a red carpet. Someone even pulled out a portable speaker and played slow, dramatic marching music. Linda went first. She started with a graceful stride, her poodles walking in perfect formation, heads high. But halfway around the fountain, disaster. Priscilla spotted a squirrel perched on the fountain's rim. In an instant, all 3 poodles lunged toward it like tiny, expensive missiles. Linda yelped, stumbling forward as her sunglasses flew off her face and landed in the grass. Gasps erupted from the crowd. Goldie's hand flew to her mouth in mock concern. "Oh no, Linda. Are you all right?" Her voice dripped with the kind of sympathy one might offer to a rival whose souffle had just collapsed. Linda scrambled to regain control, muttering something under her breath. She managed to pull the poodles back into line, but the damage was done. The squirrel had stolen their composure, and the crowd had seen it. Goldie and Wiggles stepped forward. They didn't walk, they glided. Wiggles's fur shimmered under the sunlight, his bandana fluttering gently in the breeze. Goldie waved at the spectators as if she were in a convertible during a parade. Wiggles gave a dignified little nod to a passing bulldog. The crowd melted. Halfway around the fountain, Goldie locked eyes with Linda. Her lips formed 2 silent words. "Check, mate." Linda's jaw tightened. She leaned slightly toward Goldie as they passed. "Enjoy it while it lasts," she hissed. Goldie didn't break stride. She just smiled, a slow, dangerous smile that promised the finale was going to be unforgettable. The music swelled. The crowd clapped. Wiggles gave a final regal head tilt as they completed the lap. The air was electric now, thick with anticipation. Everyone knew there was only one contest left. and it would decide everything. The crowd pressed closer to the center of Barkington Park. The parade was done. The treats had been tasted. The fetch battle was history. Only one challenge remained, the most sacred, ridiculous, and hotly debated contest in the park's unwritten rulebook, Best Bark. It was the tiebreaker, the final card in the deck. The Super Bowl of dog park showdowns. Linda stepped forward first, adjusting her ponytail with a snap of her wrist. She knelt beside her poodles, speaking in low, encouraging tones. "All right, girls, on my cue. Let's give them harmony." She counted down from 3 on her fingers, then clapped. Priscilla, Petunia, and Penelope yipped in unison, a polite, high-pitched sound that might have been impressive at a tea party, but felt wildly underwhelming in a park full of Labrador bass notes and German shepherd growls. It was cute, too cute, like an elevator chime in a Disney movie. A polite smattering of applause followed. Someone whispered, "That's nice," in the way people do when they're trying not to sound disappointed. Linda stood, chin high, pretending not to hear the lack of enthusiasm. "Let's see you top that, Karen." Goldie Karen stepped forward slowly, handing her latte to a bystander, without breaking eye contact with Linda. She crouched beside Sir Wiggles, placing both hands on his cheeks as if sharing a secret. "Darling," she whispered, "this is your moment. Make it count." Wiggles blinked once. Then, without warning, he threw his head back and unleashed a bark so deep, so commanding, it rattled the air. It wasn't just a bark, it was a proclamation. It echoed off the fountain, startled 3 pigeons into the sky, and sent a chihuahua in the far corner skittering behind its owner's legs. The crowd erupted into cheers, so loud that even the squirrel from earlier paused mid-acorn snack to watch. Someone yelled, "We have a winner!" Linda froze, her smile plastered on like a mask made of pure denial. "Well, I suppose that was adequate," she muttered. Goldie turned to her, one brow arched, her voice silky. "Adequate? Darling, that was Shakespeare with fur." Wiggles gave one more perfectly timed bark, a short, sharp punctuation to the victory, before trotting a victory lap around Goldie, tail wagging like a golden metronome. The crowd's applause reached fever pitch. A man in a baseball cap saluted Wiggles. A little girl squealed, "He's the king!" Goldie accepted her latte back, took a slow sip, and addressed the park like she was delivering a closing monologue. "To Barkington Park, where legends are made, and divas," she glanced at Linda, "are dethroned." Mic drop, or rather, bark drop. The crowd laughed. Linda muttered something about next Saturday, but Goldie just turned, hair catching the sunlight, and walked away with Wiggles at her side like a conquering hero.